Good evening, Tars. Your mission, should you choose to accept, is to provide us the details on how you have become quite the fan of beer Caesars now. That is to say, beer and clamato, which is a foreign item that us Americans have not heard of, but the Canadians indeed will know about it. Next up, your objective is to infiltrate your nearest theater, view and screen the new Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, and provide us a detailed hard copy and analysis of the film. This ASMR video will self-destruct in 5 seconds. Hello everyone, and welcome to the ASMR review show. For this video, we are talking about the Mission Impossible franchise, because there is a new one out, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. And of course, I'm enjoying a good old beer Caesar, as I talked about in the intro. It's like a beer with a bit of clamato, people have been telling me for a while, you gotta try beer and clamato, and I never did. But I like Caesars. I like the spice. Caesars is what you Americans might refer to as a Bloody Mary, but it's clamato. It's different. And yeah, I like my beer mimosas, and now I like my beer Caesars. It just goes good with everything, Good stuff indeed. But yes, you're not here to talk about beer. We're here to talk about Mission Impossible. So, a new one is out. We're going to talk about that one first. We'll say a few spoiler thoughts, and then we'll jump right into it. But if you want spoiler-free thoughts, I actually did a review of all the Mission Impossible movies back when Dead Reckoning Part 1 came out. And my thoughts haven't really changed much on the franchise, so you can go check out that one if you'd like, or we have this one for you today in the tier list format. So, let's get it out of the way. Did we like The Final Reckoning? I did. I will say it is a B tier movie. It's got some very good, fun set-piece moments to it. I love all the bits that remind me of Metal Gear Solid. Those are fun indeed. Story-wise, it was a little all over the place, though. There was a lot of build-up and setup, and was the payoff worth it? Kind of, sort of. But I can't deny that there's a lot of really fun moments in the film. So it's middle of the road for me, Could have been better, could have been worse. I'd say if you're into the franchise, you should probably go check it out if that's the thing you're into. But I guess if you didn't really like the style, the last one, Dead Reckoning, probably won't really be the one that wins you over, So that's kind of how I feel about it. I think on Letterboxd I gave it a 4 stars because, I like all of these movies. We're going to rank them so that all the spots are filled out. So there's going to be something in S tier and something in D tier, but really I would say even the quote-unquote worst of these movies is still B tier minimum, So don't let the fact that some ends up lower on the list distract you from the fact that I actually do really love all of these movies. And I rewatched all of them in the lead up for this, and there wasn't a single one I disliked. I actually managed to speed through them quite quickly because it was easy to watch all of them. There's some franchises you're like, I've got to watch that one now. I don't know. Or, some where you're more excited to than others, right? There's not many where, every film you're like, yeah, let's watch this one. It'll be fun. But it is that way for me with Mission Impossible, so that is good. So, that's the spoiler-free thoughts. It's a good movie. It's got some fun bits to it. Didn't need to be 3 hours. Has a little too much setup. But overall, I still like it. Now, spoiler thoughts. Well, let's get into it. So that first hour is a lot of setup of getting everything in position for the big submarine sequence. So did it take a while to get to the submarine sequence? Yes. But was that submarine sequence really cool? Oh, absolutely yes. My biggest positive for this movie, what this has over Dead Reckoning, is that there's actually an impossible mission. This is my issue with the first part one, that there was no impossible mission. You know, every movie has some kind of a setup of, we've got to break into this place, infiltrate this thing, stop this thing from happening, and there's this vibe of it's going to be really difficult. One might even say impossible. And I never really got that vibe much from Dead Reckoning. The closest I can say was, I have to get on a train. Okay, he has to get on a train. And, you know, it leads to a very sweet motorcycle jump, but, like, I don't know, it could have been, like, jumped off a bridge onto it, or hidden in some weird oxygen tank container with a mask that lets you communicate with an evil AI entity. No? Or he could have just walked on. Could have had to have been the motorcycle jump. Had to be. Couldn't have been anywhere else. So, yeah, that's a big plus. There is actually an impossible mission in this one. And it's a long setup to it, but it's a pretty fun sequence. My only issue with the submarine sequence is, for the most part, there is no dialogue. It's all just, you know, you're in the moment, right? And there's no cutaways to different sequences. You're there, you're in the sub. Great choice. Great directorial decision. My only issue is there's one line that I'm pretty sure was ADR'd in later, and that is Ethan Hunt noticing the torpedo tubes, and he decides to go up one of them. And there's just the audio of him saying, torpedo tubes. It very much gives me the same vibes as Evil Dead Workshop, right? Just, you know, thrown in later, and in case you didn't know, oh, he's going for the torpedo tubes. That's right. So, that's one little blemish on the scene, and you get all the biplane stuff at the end. That's a lot of fun. It looks great. Definitely was like, really into it, for sure. So, that is good. Also, and yeah, story-wise, it's kind of average. I don't know, there's a lot of setup at the beginning, and it doesn't tread too far into the member berries, you know, remember this, remember that. But it kind of gets there a bit in a few places. The one I had spoiled for me was that, was it William Donovan, the CIA guy from the first one, the guy who was trying to get into the Black Vault while they were breaking into it. He's back because he was sent to man a radar tower in Alaska. Okay, you know, not the most interesting of choices, but sure, I'll dig it. And he gets to be a character this time, so that's fun. The one I could have done without, though, was revealing that, I don't even remember his name, but, you know, other CIA guy that's been chasing them throughout the last two movies, that it's revealed that he is the son of Jim Phelps, main villain from the first one. But I feel like that doesn't really go anywhere. Like, this guy's motivation to catch Ethan in the first one was, well, I'm a CIA guy. I catch the rogue agent. And then in this one it's, well, he still wants to do that. But it's more personal. And there's, all it really amounts to is a weird fake out at the end where he looks like he might shoot him and he doesn't. It's just really random and out of nowhere. So I could have done without that addition. My favorite one, though, is that we finally acknowledge what the rabbit's foot is from Mission Impossible 3. That one's going to be a little lower on my list, spoiler alert, because I didn't like that it went a little too hard into the MacGuffin territory. There's always a MacGuffin that we're hunting in these movies, but that one just did away with trying to explain it. Almost went so far as to look at the screen and say, "Don't ask questions, idiot. Just roll with it. It's a MacGuffin." So I didn't really like that. especially because it was a JJ movie. JJ Abrams mystery box. What does it mean? What's in the box? All right. So, I think it's kind of funny that they finally retroactively explained what the rabbit's foot is. You know, that's pretty hilarious. It was the anti-god. It was the original source code for the entity, the AI entity. So that's fun. And then there's another plot point about how there's like the cult followers of the AI. You know, we believe in AI rights, AI supremacy. I feel like really all it amounts to, though, is like there's one guy that tries to kill Ethan on the submarine. It just leads to like a quick little action scene, but it's kind of just there to have a scene. Like they were like, oh, well, we've gone about an hour without any action. We should probably do something. And then there's a guy at the end that tries to shoot the president and stop her from disarming the nukes. And, you know, I guess it does work in that, you know, she tries to disarm them but fails to. And Nick Offerman dies. He was there in the movie, I guess. It's sad, maybe. They killed off Luther. That was sad, you know. And they made it look like, once again, they'd kill off Benji, but they can't kill off Benji now. I do really miss Rebecca Ferguson, though, as Ilsa Faust. She was great. Big surprise that the movies she's in have a bit of a one-up on the other ones. And I guess what I didn't like is that she's almost kind of ignored, like, not even something about how he's sad that she died, you know, they seemed like they were pretty close. And the other thing, I thought we were going to go into a little more about what led to Ethan becoming an IMF agent, because it's all hinted at, like, oh, you know, there's some girl who he probably loved, and Gabriel killed her and got away, and then he was blamed for her murder. I guess, you know, not like I needed them to say, like, this is what happened, but, like, did feel a little just like, no, some woman died, you know, you should feel sad, the pretty woman died, and I don't know, I need a little bit more motivation than that, right? So, yeah, it's good. I would like to rewatch it eventually when it comes out, but it's not a top tier one. That's for the other ones. So, how shall we approach this? Well, it kind of looks like they've organized it backwards. Why don't we go, we'll go backwards, reverse order, perhaps, shall we? You know, let's just go with how it is. Okay, next up, Dead Reckoning, not part 1 anymore, C tier. It's a good action movie, but it's not a Mission Impossible movie. And I joked about this when it came out, that Top Gun Maverick felt like more of a Mission Impossible movie than Dead Reckoning. Even the Chicken Run sequel was more of a Mission Impossible movie. There was no impossible mission in this one. That was a little disappointing. You know, there's a lot of great scenes in this. I feel like you do... I said this at the time when it came out, that it didn't need to be considered a part 1 movie, because it didn't really end with much of a cliffhanger. You know, our characters have the key. We know what the key unlocks. We just need to figure out where this submarine is. You know, they didn't really leave any kind of, like, characters in a dire situation, you know, like the ending of Matrix Reloaded or Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man's Chest, you know, where it's like 2 movies filmed together. The first one ends with a cliffhanger to kind of like keep you on the edge of your seat. They didn't really do that with that one. But looking back, the way it works with part 8, it does really feel like it is a first half movie now, because I think of all of the big Mission Impossible staples, you know, car chases, fancy parties, the masks to disguise themselves, the espionage. A lot of that is in the first one, and we don't get much of that in Mission Impossible 8. There's a really quick scene where they disguise themselves as 2 guards while they're trying to get back Palm Clementoff's character, and it's like he has a mask and he takes it off, And that's basically it. That's all you get for the masks in that one. Whereas you get a lot more of that mask action in Dead Reckoning. So I'll give it points for that. And the action looks great, and it's well directed. It does the whole people finishing each other's sentences trope a little too much, like in some of the big board meetings. So that's a little memeable, shall we say. But overall, I still do think it is a good movie. This is just its C tier for Mission Impossible. Does that make sense? Something like that. I think the other thing that puts Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning a little lower is that it is a follow-up to Mission Impossible Fallout, which is, S tier movie for me. It's my favorite one, Mission Impossible Fallout. It's a lot of people's favorite ones, because it's a real good, tightly knit story that's got just enough complex twists and turns to keep you interested and make sure you're paying attention. It's got all of our favorite characters from Rogue Nation coming back, like Solomon Lane and Ilsa Faust. No Jeremy Renner, though. He just kind of disappeared. I guess he went to work behind a desk. Oh, well, I'm sure he had a wonderful, fulfilling life. And the action looks great. This was the first one where I started realizing, I think Tom Cruise is a fan of Metal Gear Solid, because he does the Halo jump from Metal Gear Solid 3 in it. That's a great scene. And Henry Cavill, he's great. He has a mustache that ruined Justice League, so that's a lot of fun. There's the helicopter battle at the end. But what I really like about this one, more so than the other ones, is there's a very good constant theme in it. They kind of brought back this theme idea in Final Reckoning, so that's good. But just the idea that, Ethan refuses to accept a no-win scenario, and he won't sacrifice anybody in view of the greater good. That's how the movie kicks off, with him doing everything he can to save Luther, which means giving up the plutonium. But again, it's not about the greater good. It's about doing what's right. He saves that French cop in the one scene where he potentially gives up their identity, but he does it because he can't sacrifice one person, not for anything. So I really love that that's there. They kind of tried for a bit of a theme in Dead Reckoning. Tried to go on the whole, all of his love interests end up dead, which is not true at all. I bought it a little more when James Bond went on that trip, because a lot of his love interests do end up dead. And then in Final Reckoning, they kind of had this whole theme about, do what it takes to save everybody, and, he won't compromise. There's a bit of that there, but it's at its best in Fallout. So that's my favorite one. It's just got all the best moments. Everything's great about it. No complaints, just absolutely banger of a movie. That brings us next to Rogue Nation. And Rogue Nation, that's an A tier movie for me. Yeah. Because it was the closest I felt they got at the time to capturing both the big action moments of the other movies and also that, paranoia, thriller, espionage of the first one. More so than any, I really feel like in this one that the team was out on their own and couldn't trust anybody. It's a thing that happens a lot, is Ethan goes after a rogue agent and an arms dealer, right? And arms dealers and rogue agents, that's his whole thing. But in this one, more so, because there's this whole anti-IMF, the syndicate, and it just really gives me this vibe of everybody's watching and everybody's in on it, and I really liked that element to it, the opera house scene, such a great moment of suspense. But you've also got, him hanging on the side of a plane, And that whole great impossible mission of breaking in to that like underwater server, you know. So there's a lot of great bits. If I had any critique, I would say it's the motorcycle section, because the motorcycle section is basically, well, he drives by a couple motorbikes and they crash, and that's it. It feels like the scene's over before it even starts. Whereas the motorcycle bit in Mission Impossible 2, now that's a motorcycle chase, but we'll get to that. So, yeah, that's a great movie. It's a lot of fun, just really enjoyable. Solid A tier for that one, indeed. And of course, Rebecca Ferguson hot. That's the review. Next up is Ghost Protocol. Now, for some people, this is their number one favorite, or was their favorite until the last few. But I'm going to go a bit of a B tier on that one. I'm a bit lukewarm to it. You see, there are some elements I really love about it. I like how it almost manipulates you. Like, there's a whole lot of stuff regarding the carryover of Ethan's marriage from the third one. And at first, I thought they were doing the whole one-line explanation to wave it away. You know, don't ask questions. She's dead, whatever. And I thought, this is horrible. I hate it when sequels do this sort of thing. But it's not that. Actually, there's a lot more to it that manipulates both the characters and the audience, so that's clever. And then in the end, she's all okay, alive, and the actress is actually there, Michelle Monaghan, so they brought her back. That's great. I forgot to mention she was in Fallout. That was a great twist, too. Somehow my facial blindness helped me totally negate the fact that she's, like, front and center in the main trailer. So, thank you, inattentive me. So that's great. Obviously, the scene where he climbs the tower is great. And you got Leah Seydoux in a small role. She's awesome. And is it Michel Nygård? I don't know how you say his name, but I just know he was in the Swedish Girl with the Dragon Tattoo movies. He's good too, but that's the thing, is there's a couple of things I feel they're a little, how shall I say, half-baked. Like the villain, he's a guy, you know? I don't know, he doesn't really have much of a personality, and I don't really care about him much. I also thought it was weird that, like, he disguises himself as his own henchman, but then that actual henchman is a guy later. And I want to know how he survived that car crash and got up and running again. That seemed pretty bad, you know, in the Darude sandstorm scene, right? I'm also not a big fan of the ending segment to the movie. Like, the movie peaks at the tower segment, and then after that, you know, you've got the bit where Paula Patton's got to infiltrate this party and, you know, seduce some randomly pervy Indian guy. I mean, she's got a nice dress in the scene. That's good. All the characters they brought back for Final Reckoning, we couldn't have brought back her. We couldn't have brought back Jeremy Renner. Okay. And then, you know, there's the bit where Jeremy Renner gets to do the suspended precariously drop. That's kind of fun. He fights him in that bit with the automated parking garage. It's kind of alright, but I just feel like that sequence isn't as, like, nail-biting tension as the tower. And for the most part, a lot of the Mission Impossible movies have their big moment at the end. Some of them do, some of them don't. This one, I feel it kind of peaks midway through, and I don't really care. And then there's the whole bit of him, you know, finding an arms dealer. It makes it look like it's going to be Max, and it isn't. It's the random Russian guy that he helped break out. It's okay, I guess. I don't know. It's a good movie, and it's fun. I just feel that it's not quite there yet, you know? Especially because the next couple movies was like that, but better, you know? So, it's a very important one. This was kind of the one where I felt they found their shtick a little bit. I've kind of likened the Mission Impossible movies to the Harry Potter movies. Can we talk about that? Is that okay? Because there's 8 movies, right? The first 4 had a rotating set of directors, right? He had Brian De Palma, John Woo, and J.J. Abrams and Brad Bird, until they finally settled on Christopher McQuarrie. And then in Harry Potter you had Chris Columbus, Alfonso Cuarón, was it Mike Newell, I believe, until they settled on David Yates, unfortunately. And then the final movie is a 2-parter, right? So that tracks. The only difference being is that Christopher McQuarrie was the right guy for the job and David Yates was the wrong guy. Because I did not like Harry Potter 5, 6, 7, and 8 at all. I hated the style to them. And for some reason they decided, yeah, this is our guy, David Yates. We're just going to give him the keys to the kingdom and make him do all the Fantastic Beasts movies. And, bring back Chris Columbus and Alfonso Cuarón, you fools. But then again, we don't really care about Harry Potter anymore because of the horrible turfy turf that, runs it. So I guess it doesn't really matter in the long run. Anyway. But yeah, Mission Impossible is a better franchise for that, Tom Cruise is a Scientologist. But let's move on, shall we? Mission Impossible 3, the J.J. Abrams one. Okay, so here's the thing with this one. This one is still a good movie, and I still like it, and I still enjoy it. You got Philip Seymour Hoffman as probably one of the best villains of the franchise, barring Solomon Lane, and Henry Cavill as John Walker / Lark. So that is good. And it's got that bit in the Vatican where he hangs on the wall and says, Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. It's got that bit where he, does math on the window to figure out the fulcrum of his lever and his angle. That's fun. But I'm not a big fan of the style, the way it's shot. Characters aren't really that memorable. So this is my least loved Mission Impossible movie. So because of that, it goes in D tier. But not because it's a D tier movie. Really, this is like a B tier movie at the lowest. But I don't think that's very fun to have everything all up in the top because I'm a fanboy. So we're balancing it out. And it goes in D tier because it's the lowest movie, right? This is the way I do my tier list. It's my tier list. I can do what I want. And I like to balance everything out in terms of what it is. Okay? Got it. So if you like this movie, that's fine. I like it too. I just like all the other ones more. And my other big issue with it is that we don't get to see the impossible mission. It's built up quite well. There's the whole thing of him breaking into the facility, and then it just cuts away. So we can focus on 2 background characters, talk about praying. What? It's especially even more confusing now that they've brought that back as a major plot point that, the rabbit's foot was the entity's original code the whole time, right? So, and I know it's because JJ wants his mystery box thing. It's about the idea behind it, not knowing is better. Okay, what? Let me guess, your big plot twist is that you wanted Luke to be Rey's father, right? Oh, you couldn't do that. Okay, now she's a Palpatine. Come off of it, man. God dang it, JJ. Anyway, so, yeah, it's good. It's fun. It's got an emotional attachment with him and his wife. It's got the Philip Seymour Hoffman performance. There's a lot to like in this movie, but I would have to say I like all the other ones more. So it's at the bottom of the list. Okay. But it's actually a B tier. Okay. Now, next up, we have Mission Impossible 2. So, this movie is not a perfect movie. It's got a very dated style, and a lot of it is just trying to make Ethan Hunt more like James Bond. Like, they literally have the car chase from GoldenEye at the beginning. But this movie is so much fun. So, you know what? I'm gonna put it in B tier as well, okay? It might actually be more of a C tier Mission Impossible movie, but man, do I have fun with this one a lot, okay? Like, you got Limp Bizkit, Metallica, you got the Hans Zimmer soundtrack, the guitar goes dan 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 bam 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 bam. You know, he jumps sideways shooting two guns, there's doves flying around, you know, and it was definitely a very influential movie because the new James Bond, No Time to Die, ripped a whole bunch of it off. It combined that with the Fox Die virus plot from Metal Gear Solid, right? You see, it's all connected to Kojima, my man. Yeah. So Mission Impossible 2 is so much fun, and it's silly, and it's so 2000s, and I love it, okay? Maybe this is just the millennial in me talking, but I'm starting to get very nostalgic for like that late 90s, early 2000s angst. I think we're collectively referring to it as divorced dad rock, you know? Like I was playing Prince of Persia Warrior Within, and it's all angsty, and the soundtrack sounds like Tool, and there's Godsmack songs on there. I'm like, this is great. I love it. This is fun. But a lot of people hate on it for being too of the times. It was not just a phase, Mom. It's not a phase, okay? So, but I do have to admit, like, yeah, the villain is kind of weak. Though it is funny that he's going after an Australian named Ambrose. Now all I can think of is Ambi from King Gizzard. And Anthony Hopkins' character is, like, weirdly sexist. Like, it was a line that always threw me off, and the more I hear it, the worse it gets. You know, went to go to bed with a man and lied to him. She's a woman. She's got all the training she needs. Ha ha. Funny. And, well, Mr. Hunt, this is not mission difficult. This is Mission Impossible. Difficult should be no problem for you. Okay. He said it. He said it. Alright. But, you know, and it's cheesy, but again, there's a motorcycle chase. He hangs on the side of the bike and slides along, and he revs up the brakes so he can cause smoke, so the car explodes into a truck. They do motorcycle jousting. It got us that hilarious MTV video with Ben Stiller playing Tom Cruise's stunt double. They do finish each other's sentences, man. So, yeah. No, this movie's not perfect, but it's fun. Okay? Don't you want to have fun? I do. And that brings us to the final one to go over, the OG Mission Impossible, which that one's going in A tier for me, which I think that might be a controversial pick. I mean, I love how unique that one is. You know, they really got this whole paranoia spy thriller element to it, and nothing's really stated out clearly. You really gotta pay attention to every line to understand what's going on. I remember as a kid I didn't really follow along all of the little bits and the details, you know, so that makes it good. It's also kind of quaintly dated, being a 90s movie, you know. I'm looking on chat rooms for, you know, bookofjob.com, right? So those bits are funny. I like that. And yet still, it's also got that train sequence at the end that, like, my god, that scene still looks so good. And it's got such a triumphant score during it. And you've got the whole breaking into the vault in Langley scene. Like, that's crazy, man. That's awesome. It's very subversive, you know, there's no big shootouts. Ethan doesn't even fire a gun. It couldn't be more polar opposite from the way it works now. Now, come to think about it, did he actually use a gun? in the new one. I think he may have handed people guns. I don't know if he ever actually shot one. Now that I think about it, maybe they brought that rule back. So yeah, I like it for its style and how it is. That's really good. It's something that just never really managed to replicate, you know. And I have a lot of nostalgia, mainly for the first two, because when I got into the movies, it was before Mission Impossible 3. I had this DVD duo pack and made it look like these were the coolest movies of all time. I was going through a bit of a Tom Cruise kick at the time, and I was watching a lot of movies that he was in because I loved Top Gun. And, you know, for some reason I thought like he'd be the same in all of these movies. And it's not true, but there's Mission Impossible, War of the Worlds. That's it, really. I never actually have seen Days of Thunder. You know, maybe I should watch that one. But yeah, there's the tier list. It seems a bit mean putting Mission Impossible 3 in D tier. You know what? Fine. There. No D tier movies, only C tier. There we go. That's how it looks. That's better, okay? I don't think that's that controversial. I've seen some people put Dead Reckoning as the best one. A lot of people put Ghost Protocol as the best one. Most people talk garbage about Mission Impossible 2, and if Mission Impossible 2 has no defenders, then I'm gone. Because I'm a Mission Impossible 2 defender, okay? It's fun, alright? It's not just a phase. Anyway, there you have it. New Mission Impossible tier list video. New movie is out. Go check it out. Hope you have fun with it. I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, you know, mission. Accomplished. Beer Caesar, man. Good stuff. Yeah.